Hello everyone. So we are going to start our discussion on three of the most important components which are also known as the neurotransmitter, or sometimes they act as a hormone in the human body. So these three are the dopamine, adrenaline and noradrenaline, or you can say the dopamine, epinephrine and norepinephrine. So in this presentation basically we are going to study regarding their genesis, how they are generated, where they act, what are their site of action and what are their site of production. Moreover, how do they help in performing different function in the human body. So without wasting any time, let's start. The first one, it is the dopamine. So this is the basic structure of the dopamine. So we can consider that the dopamine, it generally belongs to the family of catecholamines. The first thing is that as it is having the similar feature as that of the other catecholamines. Moreover, the hormones, the epinephrine and the norepinephrine, that is the generally the adrenaline and the noradrenaline, they are generally derived from the dopamine. So you can say that the dopamine, it is the parent product for the genesis of the epinephrine and the norepinephrine. So moreover, they have this dopamine, they have a significant role in learning of the human mind. Apart from that, it also controls the goal directed behavior of a person, as well as the regulation of hormones and motor control in the human body. So now let's discuss how it generally forms. So if we start from the phenylalanine, so this is the amino acid phenylalanine. On this phenylalanine, a particular class of enzyme it acts, that is known as the phenylalanine hydroxylase. This phenylalanine hydroxylase, it converts the phenylalanine into the tyrosine. Then upon action with the tyrosine hydroxylase, this tyrosine get converted into the L-dopa, you can say simply dopa. Then upon this dopa carboxylase will act to form the dopamine, and which is further get converted into dopec and HBA. So here I am showing you one more reaction. Here you can see how this dopamine it converted, or it get converted into dopec and HBA. So this is the dopamine. So here, if in the dopamine, if the MAO aldehyde dehydrogenase enzyme it acts, then it get converted into dopec. Dopec, it stands for 3,4-dihydroxyphenyl acetic acid, and upon it, if COMT or catechol O methyl transferase, it is abbreviated as a COMT. If this COMT it acts on this dopec, it will finally form the homovanillic acid, that is the HVA. Now, after the synthesis, so once the dopamine is synthesized, after the synthesis, actually what happens, the dopamine it is packed. As we all know that they act as a neurotransmitter, so they are packed into the synaptic vesicles, and this process it is done by a particular system which is known as the vesicular monoamine transporter, VMAT, and the class 2, that is VMAT class 2, it helps in packing of the dopamine into the synaptic vesicles, and it is stored there until it's released into the synapse during the time of neurotransmission, right? So here in this picture you can see how these receptors of the dopamine they are surrounded in the human mind, in the CNS. So this green color you can see, these are the receptors which are the receptors from D1 to D5. These green parts, everywhere you will find the receptors of dopamine from D1 to D5. More about this blue part, here they have the receptors for D3 and D5. Apart from that, this red one, this portion, this red one, it have the receptors for D. The receptors, it have the receptors D1 and D2. So basically you can see again that D1 to D5, these receptors they are found throughout the brain, whereas D3 and D5 they are actually concentrated in the center, similarly with that of the D1 and D2. Now regarding their receptors, so first of all you should know this, these receptors they are the metabotropic protein couple receptor. So let's discuss about D1 and D2. So first of all, the D1 or D1 like family, these D1 receptor, they include the subtypes D1 and D5. Now the activation of this type of receptor, it is done by gas, or you can say, it is also abbreviated as G alpha S. It means there actually it get activated by adenyl cyclase, which led to the increase in the concentration of CAMP. Moreover, the other type of receptor, it is the D2 like family, which include the D2, D3 and D4. These type of receptor, the activation is coupled by G alpha I. I stands for actually the inhibition. So here you know actually this receptor, they inhibits the adenyl cyclase, leading to the decrease in the concentration of CAMP. So these are the receptors. The D1 have the subtype D1 and D5. Moreover, you have the other receptor, that is the D2. They have the subtype D2, D3 and D4. Now how these receptors they are located? So here I have given you a table just for your convenience. So D1, D2, D3, D4 and D5. So where they are located, you can see their location here in this table. Moreover, their function associated with this, right? Now the dopaminergic pathway. So what are the dopaminergic pathway in the body? First of all, mesolimbic pathway, it is a dopaminergic pathway. The next pathway, it is the mesocortical pathway. The next one, it is the nigrostriatal pathway. Then the tubero-infundibular pathway. Then the inserto-hypothalamic pathway. Then medullary periventricular pathway, and finally the retinal pathway. So all these pathways, these are the dopaminergic pathway which are found in the human. So let's have some basic looks on this pathway. So here you see the pathway, the first pathway, that is the nigrostriatal pathway. It is having significance in the movement of the body, right? So it is associated disease. What are the associated diseases with this? Low dopamine causes the EPS. EPS is nothing but the extrapyramidal symptoms. Moreover, the mesocortical pathway, its significance is found in the motivation, pleasure and socialization of a human being. So if a human being, if the mesocortical pathway in the human being, if it is affected, then the motivation, come pleasure, come socialization behavior of the person, it get changes. The next pathway, it is the mesolimbic pathway, which is associated with the speech, grasp of reality. So in such pathway, if the person is suffering from any sort of disease with the dysfunction of mesolimbic pathway, the person always remain in a dream mode, right? The next one, it is the tubero-infundibular pathway. It is associated with the prolactin hormone release. So what are the functions? So first of all, see the dopamine, we have already discussed, they act as a precursor. First of all, they will form norepinephrine, then they will form the epinephrine. Apart from that, they act as a neurotransmitter. As we have already discussed, their secretion takes place in the synapse. Moreover, they sometimes act as a neurohormone. For example, it's the prolactin. Moreover, they control the pleasure, reward, emotion, memory, attention, learning, all such psychological behavior of a person. Moreover, these dopamine, they control the locomotion of the smooth, as well as they control the muscular movement in the human body. Apart from that, if they act on the renal system, they control the vasodilation, diuresis as well as the natriuresis. The next one, it is the adrenaline. So adrenaline, they are also the catecholamines. They are generally the sympathomimetic monoamine, which are derived from the phenylalanine and tyrosine. So this is the structure of the adrenaline. So this is a reaction chart I have shown you. From the tyrosine, if we start, the first you will get the levodopa, then you will get the dopamine. From there you are going to get the epinephrine, or you can say that is the adrenaline, right? So mechanism of action, how the adrenaline they act. So they generally act as a fast messenger. So they will use the G protein couple receptor or G protein link receptor, right? Once they will come here, they will induce the production of GTP in the G protein, and this will finally act on the phospholipase C. Afterwards, this phospholipase C, it will induce the conjugation of PIP2 molecule in the presence of DAG, that is diacylglycerol, so leading to the formation of a second messenger, that is the IP3. This second messenger will go to the endoplasmic reticulum of the cell, and it will get bind to the IP3 gated calcium channel. So once it will get bind here, this channel will get open up. Once this channel will get open up, the calcium will get efflux. It will come out from the endoplasmic reticulum, and this will then get attached or then get attracted to the calmodulin and lead to the activation of various protein and cellular responses. Now, types of alpha adrenergic receptors. So basically we have two types, alpha 1 and alpha 2. The alpha 1 receptors, adrenergic receptors, they are generally found in the smooth muscles, heart and liver, and their effects are vasoconstriction, intestinal relaxation, uterine constriction and pupillary dilation. Apart from that, the alpha 2 adrenergic receptors, they are found in the platelets, vascular smooth muscles, nerve termini, as well as the pancreatic islets, and their functions are, they generally help in the platelet aggregation, vasoconstriction, inhibition of noradrenaline release, and even they inhibit the release of insulin. The type 2 beta adrenergic receptors. So types of beta adrenergic receptors. So for beta you have three types: beta 1, beta 2 and beta 3. So beta 1, they are found in the heart, beta 2, they are found in the lungs, gastrointestinal tract, liver, uterus, vascular, smooth muscle and skeletal muscles, and the beta 3, they are found in the fats. So beta 1, they are responsible, or they have effect, or they can induce the tachycardia in the heart, whereas the beta 2, they can cause the bronchodilation, moreover the smooth muscle relaxation, even the sphincter constrictions. Now the last part, that is the noradrenaline. So this is the structure of the noradrenaline, and as you all know that these all are the groups of catecholamines. So these are the catecholamines with multiple roles. So this noradrenaline, they have a role as hormone as well as neurotransmitter. So again the same synthesis chart which we have already discussed. So from norepinephrine, finally you are getting the epinephrine. So we are stuck here right now. Done. So let's start. So first of all, you see this particular component, norepinephrine, it acts as a neurotransmitter between the sympathetic postganglionic nerves and other organs they intervene. So it is a neurotransmitter. Done. Moreover, when we know that in a synapse, you have two parts of the nerves. One is the presynaptic, another one it is the postsynaptic part, right? So the conjugation or the assembly of these two parts, the presynapse and the postsynaptic parts, this gap, it is known as the synapse. So here now, once the action potential, it comes from the presynaptic nerve. So generally this nerve terminal of the postganglionic neuron, they causes the release of noradrenaline into the junctional synaptic cleft between the neurons, right? Now what will happen actually afterwards, this noradrenaline, it will diffuse across the cleft, you can say the synaptic cleft, to the receptor, which are known as the adrenoreceptor sites, and specifically the alpha adrenoreceptors on the post-junctional membrane of the neuroeffector cells. And this particular synaptic cleft is present in the smooth muscles, cardiac muscles or other secretion glands. Now upon persistent hypotensive state, if the person is in a hypotensive state, once the blood volume deficit has been corrected, so hypotensive state means the pressure going down below the normal. So once the blood volume it is corrected, the noradrenaline actually they helps to raise the blood pressure to the optimum level, that is the 120 mm by 80 Hg, right? The next function, it is the main therapeutic effect of the noradrenaline. It results from the peripheral arteriolar vasoconstriction in the vascular bed. So this is the main function of the noradrenaline. It causes the peripheral, means something which is in the periphery, means in the body, suppose in your limb, right? Arteriolar vasoconstriction in the vascular bed, right? So both systolic and diastolic pressures are elevated. So once the vasoconstriction it is induced by the noradrenaline, then what will happen? The amount of the blood pressure, it will increase in the artery, right? So if we supply the noradrenaline externally or exogenously to a person, you should know that the half-life of noradrenaline is very less. It is 30 seconds to 3 minutes only. So these actually they interact, this noradrenaline, if you are supplying from outside to a patient, they generally interact with the beta blocking agents. Moreover, the digitalase glycoside, tricyclic antidepressant, apart from that, monoamine oxidase inhibitor, cocaine and oxytocics. So in all of these classes of the drugs, these they generally, noradrenaline they generally, they interact. So you cannot give. The next one, the action. So first of all, it is known as the stress hormone, and it is also known as the flight or fight, or you can say the fight or flight response. It induces the fight or flight response in the human being. Moreover, it increases the heart rate, unusual, unconditional increase of the heart rate. It triggers the release of the glucose in the human body. Moreover, it increases the blood flow to the skeletal muscles. It suppresses the neuroinflammation. So what are the noradrenergic system which are present in the human body via which it shows its action? First of all, you have the amygdala, which is associated with the noradrenergic function. Next part, it is the cingulate gyrus. The next one, it is the cingulum. Next you have the hippocampus, then hypothalamus, then neocortex, then spinal cord and striatum. Moreover, the thalamus. So these are the different non-adrenergic system which are associated with the non-adrenergic action over the body. So the last thing you should know that the vesicular transport, how it takes place with the noradrenaline. So you should know that between the steps of decarboxylation and final beta oxidation of the norepinephrine, this is the two step, right? So between the decarboxylation and final beta oxidation, the norepinephrine, it is transported into the synaptic vesicles, and this is accomplished by vesicular monoamine transporter, which is also known as the VMAT in the lipid bilayer. And this transporter, they have equal affinity for norepinephrine, epinephrine as well as the isoprenaline. It is not like that epinephrine it is producing, so they are associated with epinephrine only. This transporter, this VMAT, they have equal affinity for everyone, the norepinephrine, epinephrine as well as the isoprenaline. So this is all from my side. So thank you everyone for your patience hearing. If you like the video, press the like icon. You can share this video with your classmates and colleagues, and for further notification from this channel, you can press the bell icon. So thank you once again.